Hibernate lifecycle in Hibernate. Here you can see Hibernate lifecycle. Here we will learn about Hibernate's lifecycle, or in other words, we can say that we will learn about the lifecycle of mapped instances of the entity object classes in Hibernate. In Hibernate, we can either create a new object of an entity and store it into the database, or we can fetch the existing data of an entity from database. This entity is connected with the lifecycle, and each object of entity passes through the various stages of the lifecycle. There are mainly 4 stages of the Hibernate lifecycle. 1 transient state, 2 persistent state, 3 detached state, 4 removed state. As depicted from this media, one can collocate how they are plotted in order to plot better in our mind. Now we will be discussing the stages to better interpret Hibernate lifecycle. It is as follows. Stage 1, transient state. The transient state is the first state of an entity object. When we instantiate an object of a POJO class using the new operator, then the object is in the transient state. This object is not connected with any Hibernate session. So this state is not connected to any database table. So if we make any changes in the data of the POJO class, then the database table is not altered. Transient objects are independent of Hibernate, and they exist in the heap memory. There are 2 layouts in which transient state will occur as follows. 1, when objects are generated by an application but are not connected to any session. 2, the objects are generated by a closed session. Here we are creating a new object for the employee class. The code, this is the code which shows initialization of an employee object. Here the object arrives in the transient state. Now we are considering a persistent state. Once the object is connected with the Hibernate session, then the object moves into persistent state. So there are 2 ways to convert the transient state to the persistent state. 1, using Hibernated session, save the entity object into the database table. 2, using Hibernate session, load the entity object into the database table. In this state, each object represents 1 row in the database table. Therefore, if we make any changes in the data, then Hibernate will detect these changes and make changes in the database table. Following are the methods given for the persistent state. Session.persist e, session.save e, yeah, session.save or update e, session.update e, session.merge e, session.merge e, and session.lock e. Here you can see transient state, and now it's to here you can see persistent state. State 3, detached state. For converting an object from persistent state to detached state, we either have to close the session or we have to clear its cache. As the session is closed here, or the cache is cleared, then any changes made to the data will not affect the database table. Whenever needed, the detached object can be reconnect to a new Hibernate session. To reconnect the detached object to a new Hibernate session, we will use the following methods as follows. Merge, update, load, refresh, save, and save or update. The following are the methods used for the detached state. Session.detach e, session.evict e, session.clear, session.close. Here the transient state, here persistent state, here detached state, state 4, removed state. In the Hibernate lifecycle, it is the last state. In the removed state, when the entity object is deleted from the database, then the entity object is known to be in the removed state. It is done by calling a delete operation. As entity object is in the removed state, if any change will be done in the data will not affect the database table. Not to make a removed entity object, we will call session.delete. Here the Java pseudocode to illustrate remove state. Here transient state. Here persistent state. Here removed state. Here transient new is via new instant of entity, it is connected to transient state, and transient state is connected to persistent state via save method, persist method, save update method, and update method. Via get method and load method, it is connected to persistent state. Persistent state interact with detached state. Persistent state is connected to detached state via detach method, close method, clear method, evict and evict method. Here detached state is connected to persistent state via save method, save update method, merge method and locked method here. And detached state is connected to end here via garbage, and transient state is connected to end here via garbage. Persistent state is connected to removed state via delete method. Remove state state is connected to the end via garbage. Now this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for watching it.